The Republic of Ireland take on Finland. It's a 4:15 kickoff, and I'm delighted to say Kathleen McNamee is with us this morning. Kathleen, good morning to you. How are you?
Morning, guys. Doing good.
This is pressure today, right? Because we played well in two big games against big teams in Australia and Sweden, and this is the bit where it has to kick forward and go, okay, we are realistic contenders to qualify from this group. So, what level of performance do you expect from Ireland today?
I suppose the main thing I expect them to show that they probably haven't in previous matches is that we are actually capable of scoring. I think we've shown that we're very capable defensively. That performance against Sweden, I thought the criticism from it in some places was harsh, considering the sort of level of team we were up against and the fact that we kind of were the creators of our own demise in the whole thing. But I think what we really need to turn around and show now is that we can get goals. We can take a game by the scruff of the neck and actually put ourselves in a position where we're in control and we're not chasing the whole time. It's obviously incredibly important. Finland are a very capable team. They've already qualified for the Euros for next year. They've had a great history in European competition, and I think that it's going to be tough, but at the end of the day, it's definitely not beyond our reach to get a result.
What areas did the unfair criticism focus on?
I think I saw some ratings and stuff that put a lot of the teams like on 4 or 5s, which I thought wasn't entirely fair. I think that we defended incredibly well. We were set up incredibly defensively, obviously, by that 4-5-1 setup that Vera Pauw put in place. But I think that we made Sweden look like a lot worse team than they actually were. We didn't let their best players play the sort of football that we expect to see from Sweden. Yes, I think if any criticism was to come, it was probably from our attacking element, which is always something that we have struggled with. But I think that looking at the result we pulled out, it does show what this Ireland team is capable of. It's just unfortunate that once again, the thing that we're struggling on is getting goals and moving forward in that area.
This has been a long-standing problem in all levels of Irish football when it comes down to it. We're always good for the plucky nil-nils, and ideally when we don't score on goals, that's what happens. But is there enough creativity in the team? This comes down to the debate afterwards. I think Karen Duggan was very strong about the role of Katie McCabe, who in Vera Pauw's system, I don't know, do you believe in Trent Alexander-Arnold's importance because he's in wide positions and so therefore he's able and free to be creative? Or do you think actually you need your best players in the central role and that's where Katie McCabe should be? I don't know. I don't know enough about the amount of time that these players get on the ball and the positions they get in the ball and the big chances created stat. I'd like to see, though, the Wisecout reports on Katie McCabe from an Ireland perspective for that. But what's your instinct on how we are using Katie McCabe at the moment?
I flip-flop on Katie McCabe, if I'm honest, because I think that we do need her in certain positions against certain opposition like Sweden. I think we do need her in those more defensive all-round roles than we necessarily need her in those completely attacking roles. I thought that for all, again, this criticism comes purely from a place of understanding that Katie McCabe is one of our best players, but I thought that she was slightly off her game in places in the Sweden match. Her stuff like her set pieces, she was overhitting balls in a way that she doesn't normally. I think in a game like Finland, if there was ever a time to use her in a more attacking position, now is probably the time. I would love to see a bit more from players like Leanne Kiernan. She's been having a great season with Liverpool so far. Obviously her career has been so hampered by injury in the past, but in 3 games she had 4 goals, and when she came on against Sweden, I thought she was really, really positive. Again, Heather Payne as well. Most of the issues with her was the fact that she was that lone person up the top, and I think that she had such amazing pace. She was ahead of her Swedish defence every single time, but she just didn't have that particular skill yet to cut inside and get past them in the way, and she was so alone as well, which didn't help. So if she had someone in support like Katie McCabe, what could she have actually achieved with those long balls that we were hoofing up to her a lot of the time? So I think if there was any match that we should start playing Katie McCabe in a more attacking role, this one would be it. But Vera Pauw seems quite determined on playing her in that more back creative role. So it'll be interesting to see what she actually decides to do later on today.
So you would play McCabe in a more attacking role. Would you start Kiernan as well?
I think so. Like I think we have so few positive goal scoring options in this team, and I think that by playing KBK a little bit higher, having Leanne Kiernan there as well, it would at least, like, one of the things that I found really positive out of the Sweden game was the fact that we were so positive in attack. We didn't necessarily have the players to get the scores, but it was the first time that I had seen an Ireland team like consistently attacking throughout a match. There wasn't a point where we were kind of fading back. It was like the 85th minute against the second best team in the world, and we were still attacking really positively. And for me, I thought that was such a good sign of what this Ireland team were trying to do. It was just frustrating that when we were trying to put those attacks in, we didn't necessarily have the players to put the balls up to, or the players that I thought were probably capable at that stage of actually getting us a goal. So I think maybe taking that positivity from an earlier point and putting those sort of players in a more attacking forward role could be really positive for us.
It's not must win because obviously it's very early on in the qualifying group, but we definitely need to draw this game, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of people are saying it's not must win, but it's definitely not like a game we can lose either. I think that this Ireland team will be disappointed if they walk away with a draw. I think we are capable of better. It's so dependent on us unlocking that little thing we have been missing, which is that goal scoring. And we know it's there. I mean, you look at like the Australia game, and admittedly the Australia team was quite experimental and it was a friendly and there's a different atmosphere around the whole thing. But this is a tough game. I mean, you look at what all the Finland players have been saying over the last couple of days. They watched that Sweden match. They know what they're going in up against, and they've talked consistently about how hard this is going to be. So they're on edge for it as well. And I think that if ever there was a time to show like what Vera Pauw wanted to do, what this Irish team to make a statement of intent, today is it. And I think that a win is probably the only way that we can really show that.
Yeah. And look, I think that would be kind of a massive coming out party for the team, and a huge amount of pressure that has built would suddenly release. And it feels like we're getting there. I guess that's the disappointment from the own goal, that actually a 0-0 draw against Sweden, backing up the performance against Australia, that's a clear sign of massive progress. And, you know, in one instance, that's undone. That's the frustration of top-level sport.
Yeah, and I suppose the thing is as well, like, we don't know if that goal hadn't have gone in, how that match would have ended up. Of course,
yeah.
It's a frustration of the fact of where it came from. I think, like, I was on with you guys just beforehand, and I said if we got to halftime at 1-0, I would have been incredibly happy. We got to halftime, it was 1-0, and I was so annoyed about the whole thing because of the nature of the goal, and I thought we deserved better. And it's frustrating that once again we feel like the architects of our own demise in the whole situation. If Blackstenius or Jakobsen or someone had got a goal, it probably would have felt fair. It would have felt like they had attacked. They didn't create amazing chances, but they definitely had the better chances of everyone on the night. But the fact that it was something that was kind of poor defending on our part and just a bit of unfortunate mishap as well, it puts a sour taste around the whole result. But hopefully tonight or today is a result that we can get that will help for the rest of the campaign and set us on a good path for the rest of this qualifying period. I know we've talked a lot about this game being must win, but we are also a team that are known for tripping ourselves up at unfortunate places, and today is a must win, but also the other games that come afterwards are as important for us, considering the results we have put in the past, where it has been the lesser teams that have actually tripped us up rather than the games that we have to win.
Yeah, a playoff in this group isn't beyond the bounds of possibility, but it needs a good result today. The goalkeeping issue, obviously, there's a player of the match performance, but has it actually settled down? Is that a one-off? What's your take on that in the long term?
I don't think it's settled down at all. I think you look at Grace Maloney's performances in the WSL and the respect that she is garnering for herself, that she is more than entitled to be in with a shout with that for that number one keeper's position as well. I think I was really impressed with Courtney Brosnan. I thought she showed maturity that we hadn't seen from her before. A calmness as well. I think a lot of the time there was like very major mistakes, but also just generally any time a ball used to go back towards her, you'd be slightly on edge. Whereas as the match progressed, I felt like she became more comfortable and more assertive. There was obviously some really outstanding saves from her, but I don't think it's settled down at all. I think that Grace Maloney and the fact that she's consistently starting in the WSL, the fact that she is quite well respected means that her name will always be in the conversation. So it'll be interesting to see how that conversation goes forward.
All right, Kathleen, give us a prediction for tonight.
I'm going to say 2-1 Ireland.
Well, we'd be pretty happy with that. Kathleen McNamee, thanks a million for joining us this morning. Cheers.
Thank you.